Let's study a little more about Psalm 3. This is the 6th short in a sequence of 8 in which we will delve into the precious details of Psalm 3, which says, "I will not be afraid of 10,000s of people that have set themselves against me round about." David wrote this psalm while fleeing from his own son Absalom, who had turned the hearts of many against him, to Samuel 15-18. As a result, David found himself outnumbered and surrounded by enemies, facing an army of his former allies. Despite the overwhelming odds, David declares that he will not be afraid, because he trusts in God's protection and deliverance. Fear is natural when faced with overwhelming opposition, but David chooses faith over fear. His confidence is not in his army, strategies, or abilities, but in God's power and promises. This teaches us that faith does not ignore danger, but it refuses to be controlled by it. The phrase 10,000s of people is not just poetic exaggeration. David was literally outnumbered. In human terms, he was doomed to fail, yet he did not allow the size of his opposition to shake his faith. This reminds us that no enemy is greater than God's power. David's enemies were not just numerous, but also strategically positioned against him. Being surrounded can make us feel trapped and helpless, but David knew that God was his ultimate defender. Even when it seems like there's no way out, God can make a way. Psalm 3-6 is a bold declaration of trust in God's power, even in the face of impossible odds. David reminds us that fear should never dictate our actions. Instead, we should place our confidence in the Lord, who is greater than any enemy we face. If you liked this brief interpretation, consider subscribing and sharing this knowledge so that we can continue to sow the word of God throughout the earth. Thank you, grace and peace.